Hello friends, it's Tom Day, and today I'm going to talk to you guys about the speedrun build for Crusaders, the Bombardment build. This is freaking amazing. Now there's another variant of the Bombardment build, and it's more or less the same that's used for pushing greater rifts. In fact, it's what almost all of the top Crusaders are using. This build's going to be slightly different, and it's optimized around going super fast and just destroying, and I mean obliterating T10 rifts in 2 minutes, 3 minutes. You know, you don't even have to try. It's actually kind of insane. First thing out of the way, though, this does have a pretty high gear cap. You're going to need Legacy of Nightmare set rings, and you're going to want mostly ancient gear. When I recorded this video, I had all but 2 pieces were not ancient. So that's, what, that's 11 pieces of gear? I'm not sure. But anyways, it's a lot of, you do need some, it's kind of a high gear cap. So if you're just starting out, you're going to want to look somewhere else. So, before we get to the gear, though, let's talk about the skills, guys. So I'm using Consecration Bed of Nails. This is pretty simple. It's just to throw it on the ground. More damage. Don't think about it anymore. But then the Big Daddy Bombardment. Barrels of Spikes, baby. You can just see him raining down from the heavens right now. Blowing stuff up. This is amazing. It's just so good. Then we have Steed Charge, Spike Barding. Now this is just for running through stuff. And you'll notice that when I pop Iron Skin, Reflective Skin, which gives us 300% more thorns damage, my little Horsey there just like completely demolishes elite packs. Sometimes you'll just watch him run into it, they'll erupt without even thinking about it. Then we have Laws of Hope, Wings of Angels. And now this is because every time we use this guy, we get 50% more movement speed. Can't complain about going faster. And then I'm just using Acrobat's Champion Prophet. A little bit defensive, but it's okay because sometimes I like walking into things that I shouldn't. As for the passive skills, I'm using Fervor. This is for the CDR. Iron Maiden, more thorns damage. Lord Commander, more damage and cooldown reduction. And then Finery, this is just really nice. It gives you more strength. More strength means more thorns, which means more damage. And there's a couple other ones that you could use, like the long arm of the law, which is nice. This increases the Law of Hope. You'll see that I actually have that on my amulet. And there's other couple of ones that you could try around it. You know, you can just try out if you want to. And so now that we have the skills out of the way, let's talk about the good stuff, the gear. I should note that I'm going to talk about kind of optimal gear as well as what I'm using. And you can see that my gear is nowhere near optimal. I mean, it's good, but it's not amazing, right? So to start with, we're using the Leoric's Crown. And this guy is really important to the build because it gives you a ton more CDR with a diamond in your helm. Mine sucks. It's 76%. It's about as trashy as it gets. But that's okay. That's how she goes sometimes, you know? I'm also using, so for stats, you want to have Strength, Vitality. The other primary stat, you don't need crit. It could be resist, it could be armor, it could be whatever. It doesn't honestly matter. More importantly, just make sure it's got Strength, Vitality, and Thorns damage is nice if you can, you can roll it. Next up, and this is the helm you would want to use regardless. If you have the option of using this, it's the best thing you could use. You could cube it, but I'll talk more about that later. For Amulet, I'm using the Hellfire Amulet. This is because I happened to get one. I was kind of lucky. I happened to get one, guys. I'm using the Long Arm of the Law passive, and it's nice for it, whatever. Indestructible will be cool, too. I mean, it's totally unnecessary for speedrunning, but it's whatever. It's whatever. Let's just say whatever a couple more times. Anyways, I have physical skills on there because physical damage does help Bombardment and Thorns. Can't go wrong there. Main stat, cooldown reduction. Now, I'm going to have cooldown reduction on everything that I can get it on. You need around 63% to have the Bombardment sync up with the physical convention of the element buff on your ring. And while it's not as important for speedrunning, because you pretty much just cast Bombardment whenever you want, the more CDR you have, the more often you can use Bombardment. Unless you're using in Geom, yada, yada, yada. Talk about more about that now. Next up, we have and if you don't have a Hellfire Amulet, you can just use whatever you want. Just anything you want that has similar stats. Cooldown reduction, area damage, main stat, vitality. Always have a socket, obviously. Next up, we're going to talk about the armor. You want any kind of ancient armor, but the best bet would be a Kiokuras or the Heart of Iron. I happen to get this one here. It has strength, all resist, and life percent. I'd rather have, instead of life percent, I'd rather have just, the 650 fit. That's okay. Secondary, you really need thorns on your chest. It's a huge piece of thorns damage. It's close to 10,000 thorns damage on ancient chest. So that's really crucial to the build. Obviously through sockets, and just throw some strength gems in there. It's good to go. Next up, we have your shoulder slots, and these can vary actually quite a bit. You don't have to be nearly as. This doesn't matter so much. You can see mine are awful. Strength, all resist, cooldown, and then resource cost. We don't have any resource cost, so that's unnecessary, right? The important thing here is that it has thorns, because again, a huge amount of thorns damage on shoulders, ancient shoulders. Main stat's good, cooldown's good. The other two are whatever. If you can get bombardment damage, that'd be just fantastic, because it's 15% more bombardment damage. That's really good. Again, a best in slot. Some people say Deathwatch Mantle. Some people say Skeleton King Pauldrons. But to be truthful with you guys, it doesn't freaking matter. The buff from that version of the legendary is not going to make or break the build by any stretch of the imagination. Next up, I'm using Gladiator Gauntlets, and these are not what you want to use. They're not helpful. I'm only using them because they're ancient, and they're the only ancient gloves that I had, actually, that were decent for this build at all. You want main stat, vitality, cooldown reduction, and then area damage. Wow, area damage is so good for this build, because every bombardment hits, those will erupt, hit other things, those erupt again. It's just fantastic. Best in slot is St. Andrew's Gauge, because they give you a buff. They just give you, that little bubble around you that helps you out. There might be even a better one. Like, you might actually want to think about using the Shrine gloves, because I'm blanking on the name of them right now, but the ones from Act 2 bounties, because then that would make shrines last for 10 minutes, which could really help if, you're doing a bunch of these in a row. But again, this piece it's not that important. As long as it's ancient, as long as it has cooldown reduction, as long as it has main stat, vite, area damage, you're going to be great. Next up, the Belt of the Trove. I don't have an ancient Belt of the Trove, sadly, but this is required for the build because it casts bombardment every 6 to 8 seconds, which obviously is good because it will use your Barrel of Spikes rune. Important stuff here. Stats, whatever, doesn't matter. You want strength, vitality, resist, defensive stuff. It's your belt. Just make sure it has thorns damage. That's really good. Next up, the bracers. I'm using Sanguinary Van braces, and it's not so great. To be honest, I really want Nemesis bracers. That would be ideal, because then every time you touch a shrine, you make an elite pack pop out, which is obviously important. More elites, you clear faster, and you get more loot. You definitely want physical skills, main stat, vitality, and the third option, again, the fourth role of primary, just, whatever, go with your gut here. I just have crit on there because I wanted to have the physical damage. Crit's not important. You don't need it. But secondary damage, you definitely want thorns. That's good. Next up, the Wailing Host. We got the ring. One of the Legacy of Nightmares set. And the one that you're seeing now is ancient. I got it actually at the end of this video. You'll see me get this. So I was not using this when we started out. It's kind of exciting. I was super pumped. And you can see the stats on it are pretty bleh. Just strength, vitality, area damage, socket. Instead of vitality, I think you'd be better off getting some cooldown reduction if you need it. Right now, I'm okay. I'm at about 63%, which I'll show you in a minute. And then you definitely want the Litany of the Undaunted, obviously, because that's the other half of the ring. Mine has strength, all resist, cooldown reduction. Again, neither one of these have thorns, you'll notice, and that's okay, because it's more important to have the items equipped than not. And for pants, we have the Hexing Pants of Mr. Yan, because all you do is just run around like a crazy person. You don't need smite damage. It's just that I needed to re-roll the sockets on the pair that I got, because it only rolled with one socket, and that's gross. Currently, they actually have all resist gems in them. This is totally unnecessary. These were in there because I was doing higher level griffs, and I forgot to change them out. But, so just throw strength in there for these speed riffs, and you'll go even faster. You do not need the resist in there. Just remember that. And these are pretty much, you kind of want them, but for the longest time, I was not using these pants. I was just using some random ancient, I think they were actually the Hammerden pants. And they just had strength, vitality, thorns. It's not a big deal if you don't have these pants. It's more important that they're ancient and they have some decent stats on them. Next up, we have the Swift Mount hand. So this is the one-hand weapon that I'm using. I just happened to get an ancient Swift Mount that had cooldown reduction and area damage. Awesome. So I can't complain. It makes your steed last twice as long, which could be important. The other option here you could use in Geom. And Geom would allow you to, every time you kill an elite pack, refreshes your cooldowns, that kind of stuff, which could be really good. Swift Mount's nice for that. But you could use in Geom. You could use Doombringer. For speed running, I don't think Doombringer's that good. I think Swift Mount or in Geom are the two best that you wanna look for here. Booties. I'm using Ice Climbers. These bad boys are amazing. I got super lucky. Awesome defensive rolls. If you happen to get run speed on your boots, I suggest you re-roll run speed, just because the defensive thing that you're getting is probably better than the run speed, because you can always just use Paragon points for run speed. I don't know. Get some thorns damage on her. Again, you don't have to use Ice Climbers. You could use the illusory boots or whatever legendary boots you have. It's not that important. I'm sorry, not legendary, ancient boots that you have. It's not that important. And my shield is totally trash. It's just, it makes me a little more defensive. You'd be better off with like a lidless wall with 20% physical damage, because obviously more physical damage equals more damage. The big thing here is to have thorns and main stat vitality. I think they can roll with area damage. I'm not positive on that. So next I wanted to talk about the cube, and we have a lot of options with the cube here. For starters, we'll start with the ring. You're always going to use conventions elements. It's just too good to pass up. When the physical buff is on, things they just die. It's dumb. But for the armor slot, you have a little bit of flexibility here. If you don't have Nemesis Bracers, I would suggest using Nemesis Bracers here, because the added benefit of getting a champion pack every time you touch a shrine is huge, which is just, it's important stuff. You could use Heart of Iron, which is more thorns damage. Optimally, you would use Heart of Iron, and your bracers would be Nemesis Bracers. But again, you can mix and match, figure out what works best for you. If you don't have, let's say you have, maybe you have I don't know, you have Nemesis Bracers, but you don't have Leoric's Crown, so then Leoric's Crown would go here over Heart of Iron. You get the idea? As for the weapon slot, I tried out Ingeome, I tried out Mortal Drama, and I didn't need Swift Mount because I'm using Swift Mount. So Ingeome, it's somewhere, I would say Ingeome or Mortal Dramas are really good here. You'll see in the video I switch between both. Neither one is right, neither one is wrong. They're both going to just destroy a T10 Rift. You don't even have to think about it. As for gems, you saw as we were going through the gear, Bane of the Trapped, Bane of the Powerful, and the Thorns damage. I'm blanking on the name right now. Bocharski's Chip or something like that. Those are the ones you want for speed running. You could try other stuff too. Maybe Boon of the Hoarder to get some gold. You go even faster. If you're already killing stuff, that would help. Maybe you'll collect some more golds for doing empowered rifts or re-rolling gear, whatever you need. That gets an option. There's the important one is the Thorns one, and probably Bane of the Trap. The third one you can do whatever the heck you want with. As for Paragon, pretty basics. The first tab, go run, speed, strength. Second tab, just whatever. It doesn't, like CDR, crit chance, crit damage, probably IAS, something like that. Third tab, you want all resists, then armor, then life percent, and then life regen. And the fourth tab, it's super unimportant aside from the area damage. Get that area damage, that's huge. And the other three, just dump wherever you feel like it. You honestly cannot go wrong. All right, guys, and that'll just about do it for this video. I hope you had fun watching me just destroy some rifts, and I hope you guys got to get out there and do it yourself. It's super rewarding and fun to just see things explode on the screen and just collect a bunch of loot. So until next time, this is TomDay signing off. Good night, guys.